Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyat Ravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we're making our way through the second chapter. So the essence of the first chapter, it is not that which you worship here. The essence of God, the essence of divinity, the divine principle by whom Cana, the equipment is enlivened, is not out there. Second chapter, how do we know? So I have a story. So there was an archaeologist, treasure hunter, kind of like Expedition Unknown. And he becomes aware that there's a pirate treasure buried somewhere in the Caribbean. And then he finds out through his research that there is a library in Port-au-Prince, the island in Haiti, that may have the logbook of the pirate captain. And where the treasure is located may be in the logbook. He flies into Haiti, goes to the library, sees the librarian and says, I hear you have the logbook of Captain So-and-so. So they go through the archives. Sure enough, they find the logbook. You know what a logbook is, when a captain of a ship writes down where he goes and all that sort of stuff. So they get down the old dusty logbook, which is 300 years old. They start going through it. Sure enough, they find the page with the map. They know exactly where the treasure is buried. So the treasure hunter says, my job is done. I have found the treasure. He gets on the plane and flies back to the United States. What's wrong with this story? Did he find the treasure? What did he find? The instructions of how to get there. So also is our study of Scripture. We are told the scripture is a praman. It's a valid means of knowledge. All right, I'm going to study the Upanishads. I'm going to study the Prakarana Granthi of Shankara. Now I know. But what the second chapter is saying, the one who knows it well doesn't know it. One who doesn't knows it. So our treasure hunter has to go to the location on the map and dig. So how is it that the self is both unknown and knowable at the same time? It cannot be known through the known instruments of perception. You cannot see, hear, taste, touch, or smell the self. The self is not a feeling. The self is not a body of information. It's not data. All of our study can only reveal data. So how do we know it? Stop the mind. Through Abhyasa Vairagyacha, as Patanjali says. Practice intense renunciation. We quieten the mind enough, introvert the attentive faculty, and then go looking for this I that I think I am. The Jim, the Kirsten. I find, well, there's no me there. There's nothing. But that no thingness shines as pure awareness. Don't believe me? How is the self known? We're dealing with two kinds of knowledge here. The first knowledge is the real knowledge, and I mean real with a capital R. How do you know you are you? You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself, yet you are not unknown. The self is its own praman. It's its own means of knowledge. It's the self itself that knows the self. And the great cosmic joke is you've always had that. You get nothing new. What we get rid of is all sorts of stupid ideas. Maybe I think I'm my body. So that second insight, this pratyabhinyanam, this aha, happens in the subtle intellect. When the mind goes, oh, there's nobody there. I am that space of pure awareness. Listen carefully. At the moment of realization, it's not, oh, I'm a realized person now. You think you're a person. You're illusion. whether you think you're a worm or you think you are enlightened. The mark of the person of steady wisdom is they know they are Brahman. They know no personal sense of self is real. The mind itself is just imagination. Take it seriously. Any thoughts on this? So this is how it is both unknowable and known. So why is this important? So many of us keep waiting for some experience to happen. Keep meditating, keep meditating, keep meditating. Aha, there's the self. We continue to get rid of the doubting, confused, what's left? It's just Brahman. How do I get rid of the doubting, confused mind? Quit believing it. Mind itself sees its own unreality. All right, what mantra are we on now?
We're starting chapter 3 today.
We finished all of chapter 2?
That's what I have, yeah.
Okay. Chapter 3 is another story. So this one's very, very old. It's a once upon a time story.
Let's start.
Yes.
Brahmaha devebhyo vijigniye tasyaha brahmano vijaye deva amahiyanta. Preceptor, it is said that Brahman once won a victory for the gods over the demons. Though the victory was due to Brahman, the gods became elated by it.
Yes. So let's understand that this is allegory. So in this Upanishad, we have devas and asuras. Devas are the demigods, the asuras are the demons. So is there an eternal war in heaven of the devas, celestial beings, against the demons? Maybe. But what it means is the devas here means the sense organs. Seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, etc. The asuras are the negative tendencies within us. We can also say the devas are the proper use of the equipment in the world. It's metaphor. It's metaphor. So because of Brahman, the senses win a victory over the negative tendencies. This is the ideal. So self, little self in its various manifestations arises: fear, self-centeredness, control, envy, greed, ambition. And because of Brahman informing the senses, we vanquish them. Now, what happens is, in the subtle intellect, there is a function called karta. Karta means agent. what it does is it attributes to the self the qualities of the not-self and gives rise to this Chidabhasa, this reflection of consciousness, this Chit Chaya, this shadow self, this phony self, this fake news that I'm a person. So here what happens is the devas, because they think they did it, I am so powerful, I vanquished all the negativity. Look at me. I have self-esteem. I love myself. I'm gonna have a bubble bath. That's how ego owns this. Metaphor, analogy. So let's see what happens. Next mantra.
The ekshanta asmakam evayam vijayo smakam evayam mahimeti tadhaisham vijayikyo tebhyoha pradurbabhuva tanna vejanat kimidam yakshamiti. They thought, to us belongs the victory, to us belongs the glory. Brahman, knowing their vanity, appeared before them, but they did not understand who that adorable spirit was.
Now, Brahman doesn't really appear as an object of the senses. Again, this is allegory. So, what happens at some point in our spiritual unfoldment, we start to deal with the question, Koham, who am I? So, because of the vanity of egoism, and in the end, ultimately, it's failure to deliver the goods of happiness. So Brahman is there, and now the devas, the sense organs, we can also think of it as the presiding principles over human endeavor. Question: who is this adorable spirit? So much implied there. It's called an adorable spirit because in the end, it is the essence of happiness. Chidananda Rupaham, Ch.4 says, my form is this consciousness. So let's see what these various devas do about this question that arises. Going on.
Tegnim abhruva abhruvangjata veda etad vijanihi kimidam yaksham iti tatheti. They said to Agni thus, quote, O Jataveda, all-knower, find out what this great spirit is, end quote. He agreed.
So, Agni here, one of the oldest gods worshipped in the Vedas. So, many of these gods correspond to a sense. Agni is fire, which is the sense of sight. It's the primary way in which we humans move through the world. We are not like a snake, which has very poor vision. It has the tongue It moves through the world with a sense of smell. It's not like a shark, which has the pits on the side of its face. I forget what they're called.
Gills?
No, they're not gills. They're little indentations. And like a hammerhead shark, the whole front thing looks like a vacuum cleaner, has these little pits. It senses the electrical emissions going on in the nervous system of creatures. So they kind of cruise along, and then they can sense when there's a fish or a crab or a shrimp, like that. Really cool. Deep sea creatures. It's different senses. Bats, echolocation. Beluga whales, echolocation. But humans, we are sight oriented. Now, predatory birds like eagles and hawks have even better sight than we do. So they're going to send Agni. Now, what does this mean? I want to see the south. I want to see Brahma. Many of you have heard me tell this story when I was in the ashram. I was there only weeks, sitting on my bed. It was a little foam mattress. I saw this gold white light. I was just bathed with ecstasy. And I'm thinking, oh, there it is. I realized the self. I saw gold white light. Nice stuff. That's not it. Let's see what happens to dear Agni as he approaches Brahma. Next one.
Tadabhya dratvat tamabhya vadat kositi agnirva aham smitya bravijjata veda va aham smartiti. Agni hastened to the spirit. The spirit asked him who he was, and Agni replied, quote, verily I am Agni, the omniscient, end quote.
So, again, this is allegory. The spirit says, who are you? And he says, I'm hot stuff. Literally. I'm omniscient. I see all sorts of stuff. Not only that, just watch out. I don't like the way you part your hair. Scorch.
So Agni here is the mind, essentially. Like
It can be the mind or the sense of sight. Usually we think of Indra as the mind. I think later on he's going to send Indra there as well.
Yeah.
Does somebody say it's the mind?
No, there's no commentary here.
Yeah. But, we have this seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, all done with the tanmatras.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I'm interpreting it.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since I've studied, but I think we send Indra there eventually. But anyway, the whole point in our allegory, sense of sight, things, hot stuff. Next verse.
Tasmin swatyai kindiryam ityapida sarvam dehayam yadidam pathivyam iti. He, Brahman, in the form of Yaksha, asked him, quote, what power hast thou, who art of such a nature? End quote. Agni replied, I can even burn whatsoever there is on earth.
So Agni thinks, I am so powerful, I can burn anything. And this is how it goes. This is egoism, thinking, I am the doer, I accomplish this. Look what I have done. My self-confidence. Many of us work very, very hard psychologically to continue to feel okay based on how we see stuff. If you get a good review at work, what is it, the best one? Greatly exceeds expectations. Is that what it is?
Redefines.
Huh?
Redefines expectations.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah.
Oh, redefined expectations. Any of you ever gotten that one?
I sure have.
You have?
I've never heard of that.
What do they call it when you just meet expectations?
That is a meet expectation.
What if you don't?
Meets most expectations. So
Needs improvement.
Needs improvement. But I've forgotten needs improvement.
Yes.
Oh, how did you receive that information?
Well, I knew he was right.
No. What instrument did you use to receive that information?
What do you mean?
Did you see it? Was it written on a report? An
No,
email?
It was like a one-on-one interview.
Essentially from your senses. Do you understand what I mean?
No.
The information came to your mind via the senses. Somebody said it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Or you saw it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they print out your review and there it is. Needs improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the point. We determine our idea of self based on the sensory data that's inputted from the world. Did you feel a bit low when you got that review?
At the time, yeah, I was a bit anxious.
Yeah. Who here's got at least exceeds expectations? You got to greatly exceeds. I know you. You good? Yeah. Ooh, look at me. So, am I valuable? Am I screwing up? All of it is ideas of self based on what the senses are reporting. It's like we use the world, largely the opinions of other people, as like mirrors in the fun house at the county fair. You look at one mirror and it makes you look very tall. You look at another mirror and you're round. You look at another mirror and you're globular. What do you really look like? You do not know. Who do you think I am? Who do you think I am? Who do you think I am? We try to seek self through the distorted mirrors of the opinions of people and situations in the world. All of it is how we form ego. The word in Sanskrit is ahankara or ahankriti. Aham is the first person pronoun. The second part comes from kri, to make or to do. So these are the functions by which we make a sense of I. It's a fabulous word. And it's so much more clear in the Sanskrit than just ego, which is Freud's word. I am is all it means. It's Latin ego. That's not the real self. It's the phony self. False self. Agni here goes to Brahman, who manifests itself as a yaksha, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Look at me, I'm hot stuff. I can destroy the world. Let's see what happens.
तस्मै तृणं निदधावे तद्धेति तदुपप्रेयाय सर्वजवेन तन्न शशाक दग्धुं स तत् एव निवृत्ति नैतदशकं विज्ञातुं यदेतद्ध्यं यद् यदे यदेतद्य क्षमिति he, Brahman, placing a blade of grass before him, said, quote, burn it, end quote. Agni dashed at it with all his power. He could not burn it. So he returned to the god, saying, quote, I could not find out who that adorable spirit was, end quote.
So Brahman himself just puts a blade of grass there. Agni, who thinks he's so powerful, comes to find that he's not. So, you see the bowl on the table? Through your powerful super person X-ray vision, burn the bowl. Or even more, walk out to Ocean Beach with a sword and do battle with the waves to get them to stop crashing on the shore. I don't like the rain. Well, tell it to stop then. If we're really honest, we are powerless over so much. This is a great meditation because we think, for example, I could make changes in my character defects. I'm just going to quit doing X, Y, and Z. Anybody tried that and found the mind just boomerangs back on you? Willpower will go a certain distance. And it's really quite limited. So Agni goes back and says, whoa, this great spirit has powers I can't do anything about. I do not know who or what it is. What's the underlying message? Senses do not go there. You will never see the self as an object of knowledge. Next verse, next mantra, excuse
me. Atha vayum abhruvan vayavetat vijanihi kimetadhya ksham iti atatethi. The Devas then said to Vayu, wind, quote, O Lord of the wind, find out who this adorable spirit is, end quote. He agreed.
So again, this is another force of nature, Vayu, which means air or wind. But in our understanding again of the yogic breakdown of the notions of perception. Air is touch. I can feel the air on my skin. So, if I can't find out who the self is through the sense of sight, maybe I can touch it. Maybe it's a sensation in my body. Oh, Jim, I was meditating. I felt the energy. My third eye was buzzing. I felt my crown chakra whirling. Kundalini was bubbling all over me. Touch, physical sensation. Is that how I know the self? Is it an ecstatic feeling in my body? Let's see what happens to Vayu.
Tadabhya Dravatam Abhyavad Tako Siti Vayurva Aham Asmitya Dravinmata Rikshva Va Aham Smiti. Vayu hastened to the spirit. The spirit asked him who he was, and Vayu replied, quote, I am Vayu. I am really Mata Rishva, the trodder of the skies, end quote.
So Vayu thinks he's really important. And another way in which ego forms. All of these are about how the false sense of self forms. This chid abhasa. Abhasa means a reflection of consciousness. The idea here is if I were to pull out the little mirror, hold it under here, I could shine the mirror in your face. Is there a light in the mirror? No. Well, yes. There's not really a light in the mirror. It's the nature of the mirror to reflect the light. If I had two mirrors, they'd see two lights. So consciousness gets reflected in the subtle intellect and gives us the apparent sense that I'm an individual conscious being who knows a limited amount of knowledge. That's not what it really is. What is the consciousness that shines into the intellect? But here, Vayu, and of course, Vayu is another name for prana. Prana means vital energy, but when we break down prana into its 5 subtle components, what do we call those? Pancha
Vayus.
Vayu, the subtle airs. You see. So there's the implication of here all the energies that happen. Many of us think spirituality is about energy. Now, we're not saying energy isn't fun. Do pranayama, get higher than a kite. But it's knowable as an object. And that's not it. Okay, let's see what happens to poor old Vayu.
Tasmin swayi kim viryam ityapida sarvam adadiya yadidam prithivyamiti. What power resides in thee? Asked the spirit. Quote, why, I can blow away everything, whatever there is on earth. End quote, said Vayu.
So Vayu thinks it is the whole ego idea. Agni was going to burn everything, and now Vayu thinks I can blow everything. Let's see what happens. Next verse.
Tasmai trinam nidha nidadhaveta dadat sweti tadu papreyaya sarvajavena tanna shashakadatum satateva nivrivrite naita dashakam vignatum yade tadhya kshamiti. Yaksha, placing a blade of grass before him, said, quote, blow this away, end quote. He approached it with all his power, but was not able to move it. So he returned to the gods and said, quote, I could not find out who that great spirit was, end quote.
So the same issue that Agni had. The meaning of it all is the self is not known as a physiological feeling. Various forms of sensory touch. It's not an ecstatic experience in the body. It's not it. This can confuse people because they can have an experience of the Lord's glory, his vibhuti, and have an ecstatic experience in the body in meditation. Old-timey days in the 70s, when Baba Muktananda was coming here, and he'd stay at the City Yoga Center in Berkeley. And this is where Guru Mai is now, those of you who may have gone down there. So many times the Shakti would be so powerful, people would literally just shake and fall out. You know, it's like going to a charismatic Pentecostal church. It also has the same thing. So people say, oh, I'm having a spiritual experience. No doubt they were experiencing energy. But that isn't it going on.
Athendram abhravam ghavaneta dvadhi janihi kime tadhya kshamiti tatheti tadabhya drava tasmat rite dadhe. Then the gods said to Indra, the chief of gods, quote, O Madhavan, worshipful or the possessor of great wealth and power, find out who that adorable spirit is, end quote. He agreed and hastened towards the spirit, but the spirit disappeared from his view.
Now, with Agni and Vayu, we can see those as encompassing all 5 of the physical senses. Upanishad only does 2, but we can see it's not only cannot be seen or felt, it cannot be heard, tasted, smelled. Now they send Indra. Heavy guns. Lord of the gods. We think of Indra as the Lord of the senses. Indra is the mind. This is what we were implying there. So what happens when the mind itself goes looking for the self? Is it figure-outable? Is it something I can grasp? I've got it now. And in the very effort to try to grasp it, it disappears. much implied. And many of the texts we have, for example, the mind state of nirvikalpa samadhi extolled. This is the mind state where all movement of the mind ceases, all vasana has been exhausted, and the nature of yourself is absolutely clear. And people then start to make nirvikalpa itself a goal. I'm gonna do all these practices so I can have an experience. So my mind can say, I've got it now. And what happens the harder we struggle for that? Paradox as it becomes very evident. All our striving cease. So poor Indra, he didn't even get the test that the other two did. Yaksha just. Let's see what happens going on.
स तस्मिन्नेवाकाशे स्त्रियम् आजगाम बहुशो भमानामुमा हैमवतीं ता होवाच किमेतद्य क्षमिति इति तृतीयखण्डः. And in that very spot he beheld a woman, Uma, the damsel fair, the daughter of the snowy mountain Himavan. He asked her who this adorable spirit could be. The end of part 3.
Okay, so now Uma appears. Let's see what she says. Let's move on to part 4.
सा ब्रह्मेति होवाच ब्रह्मणो वा एत द्विजये महिरध्वम् इति ततो हैव विधाञ्चकार ब्रह्मेति. Preceptor, Brahman, she exclaimed, quote, indeed, through Brahman's victory have you gained greatness, end quote. Then alone he understood that the adorable spirit Yaksha was Brahman.
So the senses, the mind have to understand it is not knowable, but it is not what does it imply here? How do you know? So if we just tune the mind up a bit, get quiet. Let's listen to the traffic flow. Then also introvert the attention. Who hears the traffic? See if you can notice. You see, there's no person there. Yet the sound of the traffic is being heard. In the subtle intellect, if you get that flash, oh, I see. There. That insight, oh, I see, there's nobody there, is not the direct experience of the self. That self has always been there. All we've done a bit is silence the perturbations of the mind. So the background, the substratum, the context of it all comes clear. It's always there. In the end, it's the simple awareness of the most ordinary waking state. Who sees the coffee mug? It's yourself. It's not achieved. It's not gained. It's not obtained. It's always there. How do I know it? I don't know. Just do it's me. Yeah. You are Swayam, self. Any thoughts on this? Next mantra.
तस्माद्वा एतदेवो अतितरा मिवान्यान् देवान्य दग्निवार्यो इन्द्रिदस्ते येन नेष्टिष्टं पस्पृश्रुतेस्ते येन प्रथमो विदान् चकार ब्रह्मेति. Therefore, verily, these gods, Agni, Vayu, and Indra, excel the other gods, for they approached the spirit, the manifestation of the Supreme, the nearest, and they were the first to know him as Brahman.
So here again, it's metaphor. What is the eye behind the eye? What is the illuminator of all the senses? Most importantly, what is the very awareness of the mind itself? You do not have awareness like you have a nose or an elbow or a finger. You are aware. Seeing is the awareness of objects seen. Hearing is the awareness of sound. Feeling is the awareness of emotion. Intellect is the awareness of thoughts. Withdraw your attention from the no. See if you can get intimations of the. Or as Gita puts it, who's the knower of the field? In every field of experience. Ch.3. All these various images and metaphors point, not define. In the end, he who knows it not. I've read all the books, I know it all. She who knows it not among these unknown. Now, let's go to the dream state and the waking state. The shift between the dreamer and the waker is a gross shift. It's early in the morning and you're having a very, very vivid dream, and then the alarm goes off. Ba-wang. All of a sudden, dreamer, dream world, gone. Now waker. Where did the dreamer go? Where did the dream world go? Do you have to put it in a drawer next to the bed? Where did it go?
It disappeared. It was never there.
Yeah, it sure seemed to be, though. Likewise, the shift between the ego state and the knowledge I am Brahman is like that shift between dreamer and waker. It's just incredibly subtle. Just shifting. Run around and I'm convinced I'm Jim and I do this and I did the dishes this morning and I made my bed and I went online and da 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 da. And then if I stop for a moment and notice the knower. Wait a minute, there's no Jim at all. Chidananda Rupa, I'm in the form of bliss consciousness. Shivoham, Shivoham. Where did Jim go? He disappeared just as much as the dreamer disappears when you wake up. Just as all the anxiety and tension and stuff of the dream also disappears when you wake up. Oh, God, I was struggling so hard with that problem in the dream. Thank God it was just a dream. So also, all of the ego's problems. I'm not good enough. I need to. Needs improvement. Is that what it said?
Yeah.
I need improvement. Oh my God. I gotta greatly exceeds expectations. I gotta keep working very hard so I get another one next year. Anybody go down that road? What do you think of me? What do you think of me? My partner yelled at me. If I go looking for that self, it's always trying to secure, defend, reinforce itself. I see it as Chit Jaya.
So it sounds like what he's saying is that we are constantly dreaming in the waking world and we need to keep waking up from that dream.
You got it. The ego state is a dream state. If we study Mandukya Upanishad in the second chapter, Vaitatya, falseness, Gaudapada compares the waking state reality to the dream reality, back and forth, looks at every assumption we have by which we think the waking state is real. Knocks it down, knocks it down, knocks it down. And that fourth karika is outrageous. Basically says the waking state world including the ego that perceives it, is quite unreal, and the proof of its unreality, remember?
is that it can be seen.
Yes, it can be known as an object of cognition. Do you think you're a miserable worm? Yes. Do you know this? And that's not you. Do you think you're hot stuff? I think. Okay,
From this point of view, then every moment is samadhi, whether you're meditating or not.
this is what we call sahaja samadhi. Sahaja means natural or continuous. This is the mind state of the woman or man of realization. What does samadhi mean? The quiescence of mind, the equanimity of mind, meaning I know who I am under all circumstances. I never forget. I don't fall back into the dream of egoism. That's different than nirvikalpa samadhi, which is the mind state of when everything disappears. No sense of ego, no world perceived. You understand the distinction?
Yeah.
We could also say nirvikalpa is another name for the self. So in Shankara's great hymn Nirvana Shatakam, one of the verses starts, Aham nirvikalpo. What does that mean? I am in nirvikalpa? Is that what it says? You're our Sanskritist. What does it mean?
I am nirvikalpa.
So we could say nirvikalpa is just another name for yourself.
And that just means without movement.
They never move. Nirvikalpa samadhi is described that state where the distinction of knower, knowing, and known is merged, is gone.
Sleep.
No.
But
In
you know
deep
it.
sleep, you are knowing pure ignorance. But in nirvikalpa samadhi, mind is gone. But another way to define it, how do you know yourself? Who knows that I do? What's the means of knowledge? Me. What is that which is known? Me. So I am without the distinctions of knower, knowing, and known. And that's going on all the time. It all depends on how you want to define the layers. Okay, let's try one more mantra.
Which one did we just do? Number
I
3.
don't have the book.
3 is what we're on right now.
We're on 3.
Mhm.
Tasmadva Indro Titaram Divanyan Devansa Yena Naishtishtam Pasparsha Sahin Yena Prathamo Vidan Chakara Brahmeti. And therefore, indeed, Indra excels other gods, for he approached the spirit nearest, and he was the first to know him as Brahman.
So what it means here is, what is self-realization? What is moksha? So both bondage and liberation occur to the mind. The self is ever free. What is it that knows the self? It is the self. that knows the self. But the great cosmic joke is everybody already has that. So, what is my bondage? What happens to my Indra, my mind? My bondage is nothing else than ignorance. I do not know I am Brahman. And then I subsequently think I am the body plus the personality. Just like what is the mind state of the dreamer? First, I do not know that I'm safe in my bed sound asleep. Then when the mind projects the imagined dream, I think it's real. That is my bondage. My bondage is ignorance, and then the subsequent belief that the images projected by the mind are real. What is liberation? Moksha. The self doesn't change. Indra changes the mind. There is no other liberation than the deeply rooted conviction based on direct experience. Not that I'm a powerful, enlightened master, but I am Brahman. When the mind itself, Swamiji says, commits harakiri, commits psychic suicide, when the mind itself sees its own unreality, when the mind itself quits believing itself, you cannot think a real thought. No idea of self is true. You are not good. You are not bad. You are not successful. You are not a failure. You do not need improvement. You do not greatly exceed expectations. Satchidananda Rupa. I am the form of pure existence, pure consciousness, bliss absolute. And that is not just information gained by reading the scripture. That is direct insight gained through my investigation into my own self. Very quiet. That's the aparoksha jnana, the direct knowledge. That is the pratyabhignana, the recognition in the intellect. Oh, there's nobody home. The lights are on, but nobody's home. That's what frees me. Truth was, I was always free. I may be being chased by monsters in the dream. Truth is, I'm safe in my bed. But when the mind knows, lets go of its struggling, its striving, its neurotic, paranoid self-observation. How am I doing? Am I okay? What do I think of me? Which is what tortures us. So this is why the Upanishad says, Indra, the mind, comes closest to the self. I'm not the body, I'm not the prana, not the feelings, not the thoughts. Stop. mind returns from those momentary periods of quiescence, it goes, aha. Aham Brahmasmi. I am. Okay, what mantra are we on for next week?
Mantra 4, chapter 4.
Mantra 4, chapter 4. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.